Welcome to another Kings of War 3rd edition battle report. Trident Realm versus the Kingdoms of Men. 2150 points. The scenario was dominate. Greetings all. I am again taking my Kingdoms of Men at 2150 points. This is my Sam Will Nordberg homage army. It has 4 regiments of pikes, all with indomitable will, 2 hordes of foot guards with great weapons and indomitable will, 3 troops of fanatics, 3 generals on winged beast, an ASB with loot, and 2 heroes on horseback. I've enjoyed playing this list a lot. The issue I'm having right now is just learning to be patient with the generals on winged beast, and hopefully maybe the next game after this one or 2 or 3. Sam says it's 20 before you actually get it, so I'm hoping that I can learn faster than 20. But I do see what he means about how to use a list like this, and the secret of it, of course, is being patient, trying to get your flyers in position for later turn charges and not try to burn them up so quickly. This is my friend Sean Dietrich's beautifully painted Trident Realm army. It starts out with 2 troops of Thule, 1 placoderm troop, 3 depth hordes, one with the potion of the caterpillar, a giga horde, a centurion with the wings of honey maze, 3 depth horde eternals, one with a blade, one with a mace, and the other one with a scrying gem, then a coral giant and 2 knuckers. This is a very optimum list and different than the one I played before. He added the centurion with the wings of honey maze in there, and I think that was because of my dragons in my undead army. But yeah, that added a whole nother level of yickety to this army that's already full of nasty stuff, especially when most of your army is armor 4 and hits on 4s, and trying to hit all of that ensnare. And then I guess the weird thing about Trident Realm is if it doesn't have ensnare, it's pretty much armor 6. That is ridiculous. And if it does, and if it has their heroes, a lot of them have regeneration on top of all the other stuff that they have. So they're a very powerful army. I mean, almost to the point that I think that they're too powerful in a way, but that's not up to me to decide. I don't design the game. But like I said, they're a very powerful army. Sean's is beautifully painted, and he plays it very well. So we'll have to see what happens in the game. So partway through in the deployment phase, Sean revealed the scrying gem, and so I had to deploy a bunch of my army first. Really doesn't matter because my army pretty much deploys the same way every time. I'll go through the deployment and then tell you what mistakes I made as far as deployment is concerned. As you can see, that's Sean there, you know, the great Satan, also known as the Lord of Sharkness, because of his beautifully painted sharks in his depth horrors unit. So really like his army. It is absolutely drop dead freaking gorgeous. So for my deployment, I started off on the left flank. It's just out of the picture. There's actually one of my general and wee beast over there. There's one in the middle, and there's one on the far right. And the reason I did this was to try to gain angles to be able to do some flank charges later in the game. Over to the far left is my first unit of foot guard. They are deployed in the woods. Probably, if you say what I made a mistake, I probably should have deployed them further left around that little castle thing there, because I needed to get to the middle. But I ended up jamming myself up with that castle during the game here. Then the first unit of pikes. The next unit is a unit of fanatics, and then pikes, then fanatics. Behind the fanatics there is the ASB with loot. Then more pikes, more fanatics, more pikes, another unit of foot guard. Same thing almost could be said. I would have probably been better off deploying that one a little wider, but it really wasn't in bad shape. It was because of that impassable terrain that was right in front of the left one, where I probably could have came around the other side. But it just looks bad there because there's no marching really, because you've got that stupid obstacle. Then you've got a woods over on the other side. I just don't think I could swing around it and actually get to the middle. So I was kind of jammed up trying to get there. I probably should have shifted the whole line. If I would have shifted the whole line down just a little bit, like 3 or 4 inches, it probably would have made a huge difference. But it's just hard to say when you're doing deployment whether something is being, where you're doing it right or not. I realize I don't have a good picture of Sean's deployment, but I'll try to weed through it here. Over on what would be the left side of the picture, you have the first Knucker, and then a unit of Thule, and then a Depth Horror Eternal. With the middle there, as you can see, the big pile of stuff, that is a Coral Giant. Behind him is the Centurion with the Wings of Honey Maze, then another Depth Horror, then her Eternal, then another Depth Horror, and another Depth Horror Eternal. And then I believe there's another Depth Horror Eternal, and then another unit of Depth Horrors on the far right of this picture is a Knucker. All right, this is my turn one. I just kind of shuffled forward with everything, trying to tape everything online. Um, I couldn't. On the far left, you can't see him. He's behind the tower. The other General on Winged Beast moved forward 20 inches and just turned to the right. The one on this end could not, because the Knuckers were there, and Knucker has an insane charge distance for a foot guy. I mean, he's almost like a flyer, and so you can't just go willy-nilly out there and get charged. In retrospect, it probably would have been better to be charged and be fighting on this side of the table than to be on his side of the table. But the General on Winged Beast there, the white one in the foreground, he is just sitting there. The Knucker is just on the other side of the table facing up to him. Moved the hero out to go and help support him in case I could get a double charge on the Knucker at some point, because I actually let him get within range to be charged, because I figured that unit of foot guard would put paid to him if he decided he was going to come out there by himself, because they're a pretty good unit. And so that was it. I mean, over on the left side, I started trying to mash through that woods and through that hedge to try to get my other unit of foot guard online. Like I said, it would have been a big benefit, I think, if I would have just slid this unit here on this end down, kind of even with the base of that tower there. But I think I did. I think, matter of fact, they may be in the right spot, because I didn't want to be able to get some point march and actually have to turn and not hit that thing. So maybe I did have them in the exact right spot. I just ran out of space. But suffered now a couple of times of getting my foot guard jammed up behind my guys, and I'm not really sure what to do about it, except maybe deploy less wide. But I don't know what to put behind the other. I'll have to keep perfecting this army and perfecting this plan. Showing Sean's turn, he did move the Knucker out there, and it was in range of both the General on the Winged Beast and the hero on horse. In front of them is a troop of placoderms, and then behind them is Depth Horrors, and then yet another Depth Horror Eternal. I think he's just trying to set up a trap for me. And to the left of that, you see a troop of Thule, another unit of Depth Horrors, and yet another Depth Horror Eternal. Over on Sean's right flank, obviously you're looking at from my side of the table, he moved everything forward. He moved the Depth Horror Eternal and the Knucker, as you can see, up a little bit to start responding to my General on Winged Beast that's over there in his flank. So everything else just moved straight forward. I mean, there really wasn't much I could do to hurt it anyway, even once it gets there. But anyway, he just moves forward with that side. Like I say, he's having to respond with his troops over there because of my general already facing the flank of his entire army. There's something you do every game, and you don't really keep asking yourself why you do dumb things, and you do it and you do it and you did it again. Well, that's foolishness, and that's exactly what you're about to see here. That was the General on Winged Beast chart and the mounted hero charging into the Knucker that was there by itself, when I can plainly see that there is a Depth Horror Eternal back there to do it. I just thought maybe, that 240 something points of guys should be able to take out a unit that cost 150 points. Just throwing that out there. But that's not the way it works in this game sometimes. So anyway, I thought it was worth the risk at the time. Looking back, probably dumbest thing I've ever done. But at the time it looked good. I hit, and of course I do balance this time. Over on the very far flank, the other unit, the other General on Winged Beast, flips into the woods there, so I can even look further down the line here. Everything else in the middle just moved up to start pressuring, and the action starts really fast this game and really never stops. So this is going to be a whirlwind. So one of his Thule troops made a hindered charge into a unit of pikemen and did a single wound. everything else in his army had to bend to handle that general on winged beast that was bearing down on him from the other side. Uh, this is part of the game where I look back on it, I said, this is one of those other spots where you needed to be more patient. But I knew he had put that stupid Centurion hero in there with the Wings of Honey Maze, and at some point he was probably going to get a charge on me before I could really get to the way I wanted. So I kind of made a gamble that he would fly him that way and maybe leave the guy in the middle alone. Uh, because then he would vacate the area, and then I could be able to take advantage of some of the middle charges that I had. Over in the exact middle, and I think I have another picture of this, one of the sharks that went ahead and attacked one of my troops of fanatics. I just charged them in between. That's a vulnerability of this army, is those narrow, fast guys charging in between things. And I think maybe in the future I'll have something to address it. I mean, I'm thinking about swapping one of those heroes to a unit on a Pegasus, and that way I could preemptively charge the sharks before they jam my army up. So on the hill, the Thule troop also charged another unit of pikes in the front. This time they did 2 wounds. Pikemen are really resilient as far as being able to take damage. His placoderms moved up into charge range of the foot guard, and behind them is a unit of depth horrors. Over on the right, the Knucker countercharged into the General on Winged Beast, did a couple of wounds. The depth horror charged in and did 1 wound, I think, and everything just kind of held pat this turn. So really good turn as far as I thought stuff was going to die, and stuff didn't die as much as I thought it was. So we're in pretty good shape right here. I believe this is the start of my turn 3. I went ahead and charged 1 unit of pikemen because I was too far forward to flank charge this depth horror eternal, which was a huge mistake. I should have been in a better position there, or I should have had the fanatics even further back. The checkerboard, I guess my checkerboard was not right for dealing with those single monsters type things. I mean, I needed to checkerboard a little different so that I had flanks. No matter what, I would get, whichever thing you charged was going to catch a flank. But my ideal, of course, was to get the fanatics into the flank of whatever charged my units. So here, my unit of pikemen went ahead and charged one of his unit of depth horrors because I wanted to keep them back because it was bad enough stuff coming toward me, and I didn't want to have to deal with them. My unit of pikemen there in the middle went ahead and countercharged those Thules and destroyed them. Over here, the foot guard charged into the placoderm troop and waver it. I tried to bane chant them to get the extra wounds and stuff to kill them, but it was just not to be. I charged back into the 2 creatures over there, did a few wounds, but my dice rolling on this whole corner right here was just subpar for this turn at least. I guess I was probably lucky to get rid of the Thule, but like I say, there was some dice that should have been. I mean, I should have been easily. I mean, that's just a troop of placoderms. I know they're good, but it's a troop, and that's a 200 and something point unit. So I would have thought I could have got through it, but I think I rolled like a 3 or something for their break test, which is, like I said, you can't do anything about it, but it just drives me crazy. Over here, my general on Winged Beast, he did a great job, and it did. I want to say he did 5 wounds this turn and got those guys up to 8. But of course, I rolled like a 3 or a 2 or something absurdly low to break him, and I had a pretty decent chance. I just needed a 7, so that would have been great, but it didn't happen. Even the hero on a horse did 2 back to the land shark eternal, and it was not a bad round. It was just that my morale tests were just really subpar over on this side. Right, I want to say this is the bottom of 3. He had charged his knucker from way across the table and hit that unit of fanatics. This is one of those pivotal points in the game where I think he did 1 or 2 wounds and then rolled like 10 and 12 or some absurd high dice roll to bust through there, because if he would have paused right there, the General on Winged Beast would have charged the knucker in the flank, and knuckers are good, but they're not that good. So that was a really lucky move through there. pretty sure his shark down here, his Depth Horror Eternal, kills that next unit of Fanatics this turn, and that's going to kind of blow my line open here in the middle. So I need to do something bad, or do something to try to pinch this hole closed. But I mean, I am kind of in a good position to do that. As you can see, he's bent in a V, but I'm kind of in a U waiting for it. So wasn't as bad as I thought. I mean, it's just right now the game is really, really, really tight. So we'll have to see what's going on after this. So over here, yeah, his Depth Horror Eternal finally kills my troop of Fanatics right there. The Placoderms could not swing back, and then he wavered my, not my general, but he wavered the hero on the mounted hero with his Depth Horror Eternal over there on the right hand side. I really, really banked on killing that stupid Knucker in 2 turns, and I'm sitting here grinding with it, which is just, but that's the problem. They have fucking ensnare, and you sit there and you're rolling on 4s. It's just bad. I mean, there's nothing you can do about having to roll for such bad things to hit. And I knew if I hit, I was going to wound, but you got to hit, and that's the problem. So that guy did not have any magic items. The one that had a magic item, I think I forgot about it the whole game, which I'm really bad. But I did order the official Mantic magic and magic spell cards so that I could now start dropping them on my unit so I don't forget. So over on this flank, the Gigas went ahead and charged into a unit of pikemen, and despite being hindered and despite being ensnared, they rolled out their ass, rolled 6 wounds, and wavered my unit. I could not believe it. The giant was not near as successful. He did a lousy 1 wound. So just tragic. I just don't, I mean, just tragic. Dice gets you sometimes. Over in the middle, his Depth Horrors do exactly the same thing and roll dice out there out the wazoo and waver that unit of pikemen. And so none of it's going well. Those 2 things were kind of unexpected on my half, but I have Indomitable Will, so it's not that bad. But just the amount of grievous damage that the Gigas did to me was kind of shocked me a little bit. So yeah, his Centurion charged into my General, and Wing Beast did a single wound, of course. The thing is, if he hadn't done a wound, I would have killed his army because I was behind so many units right there, and I was in such a good position. I didn't even think to see if I could have backed up and charged, but maybe I did it because I was too close to the table edge and didn't think I could get around him. I mean, I'm talking about making a nimble charge. I'm just talking about making a charge. So anyway, I think I was too close to the table edge. I think my base was stuck on it, but I do realize that I can, rotate off the table edge. But he got me. He had with that particular guy, and this is the first time he's used him. Like I say, the last game I used a dragon and a flying vampire on a Pegasus, and he's added this guy to kind of help with the flyer defense, which I don't blame him a bit for. So yeah, finally on turn 4, I finally killed the stupid Knucker. That's absurd. I mean, I fought him for 3 turns and finally killed him on turn 4. And then it was really almost too late. I needed to get rid of him a turn earlier to be able to reposition the General on Winged Beast to sweep up some of his units. Well, I don't apologize for the picture. I do apologize for what you're seeing. Well, here's what's happened is that those foot guard in the front have killed the unit of Placoderms, and I just left the base there. And the reason why is because my trade, the guys aren't glued to it. So if I put them on that hill, they're just going to roll into a jumble, which has already happened with the unit on the other side of the table. I've already had to put all my figures back together. So instead, I'm just going to put trays over to the left of them. You see that my pikemen have moved in position there, and they are ready to deal death to those Depth Horrors that are stuck there. In the very middle, that unit of pikemen has destroyed, I want to say they destroyed a unit of Depth Horrors. It probably was a lucky roll if I did, but I think that's probably what happened. No, I know what happened. The general who on the Winged Beast, who was hiding behind the lines, swung in and killed the unit of Depth Horrors with a flank charge. So now the pikemen are going to have to turn around and face, because that stupid Knucker who snuck through earlier is now facing in the back of my army, which is not going to be good. And that depth horror eternal, which busted through, have both pierced my lines, so to speak, and this is not going to be good. Yeah, you can see my General on Winged Beast has destroyed that unit of depth horrors and is now facing toward the side of the giant and the other unit of depth horrors, or the back of the Thuls, and not Thuls, Gigas. The pikemen there who were in that victorious mob have now turned around to face the enemy units that were behind me as well. Over on the far left, the hero on the horse went ahead and did, I think, a couple of wounds to one of the depth horror eternals, and then my general on Winged Beast went ahead and wavered the centurion. So that was a really good turnaround as far as that side over there. So got rid of a unit this turn, and now I'm in position. We'll just have to see. As I recall, the dice hate me on the next turn, and we'll have to see how it goes. So yeah, his depth horror eternal disengaged and went ahead and charged my general on Winged Beast since the centurion was wavered this turn. The giant and the unit of depth horrors charged into the unit of pikemen who had only taken a single wound, so they weren't too bad a shape. What I'd done with the pikemen there was not countercharge those armor 6 gigas, but I backed up to make him pay for having to charge through difficult terrain and to pay for the ensnare on the pikemen, to try to see if I could just hold just one more turn. So the Necker charged the unit of fanatics in the flank. The depth horror eternal charged a unit of pikemen in the front. And you can see right along the battle line here how everything is going for their side. He's in good position right here. And like I say, I'm pretty sure at the end of this turn, the dice just go pear-shaped for me. So let's see what happens. Yeah, his dice went on turbo mode, and then the depth horrors and giant killed the regiment of pikemen there. And then the Thule, I mean, they should have killed that unit. They were already wounded, but they needed 5s or 6s. But I think he rolled like 6 6s or something absurd for the numbers of hits on that unit of pikemen. I had a general there on Winged Beast, as you could see him, to inspire, but it was just too far gone. Those guys had taken so much damage. And like I said, my flank here has gone all pear-shaped. So we'll have to see how I can respond. So my wild idea here is thinking that my having confidence in my foot guard, since the foot guard on the other side had done so well, or was about to do so well, I charged into the unit of depth horrors, and then I charged the hero on the horse in the back, because I'm figuring here that I'm going to have, I'm going to hit about 12.5 times, do 10, 11 wounds, plus the guy swinging in the rear, for a couple. 13 needs a 5. I got a chance of knocking it out. Oh no. Not with Randy's dice. I think I did 6 total freaking wounds, and that spells the doom of my unit of foot guard. Up here, my vintage unit of Tutigan Guard charges in and one-shots that depth horror horde. I was so happy about that. Maybe I need to paint more of them and leave these sissy Midland great swords who's just fighting on the other flank, who did 6 wounds, and these guys walk in there and do like 13 or 14 in one shot a horde of depth force, which is really hard to do if you ever played this game. My general on Winged Beast and the other guy are fighting into the depth horror eternal, and I just rolled crap. I mean, I didn't do enough wounds. I mean, it was just a bad dice roll. I mean, that's all you can say about it. I mean, I should have got him up to a tipping point, but I did not. So here the guys are close to being back on their base, at least. The pikemen that you see in the foreground are actually still on the blight base there. I just didn't want them to tip over because they have a lot of little fiddly spears on them. I don't want it to break. But over here I'm ready to aim the unit of foot guard back to the middle to try to get back into scoring position. So yeah, my foot guard died to a sickening amount of high dice rolls and even higher nerve checks. So can't really blame them. I was triple charged. I was supposed to die. I just hoped that I would maybe be able to pass the nerve check. The Knucker went ahead and charged into my general on Winged Beast. The depth horror charged back into my pikemen and wavered them. as unlikely as that would seem. But again, there was some good dice being rolled here. This was like a hot turn of nerve test uh, for Sean. With my left flank in shatters, then everything is turning toward me. The giant, the depth horrors, and the gigas. You can still see the Knucker and the depth horror eternal fighting my pikeman there. So yeah, the general and the winged beast on this side died to the Knucker. I believe the other one dies to the combination of the depth horror and their. So that puts me in a bad shape, and I think that my depth horror, I mean my pikemen are going to hold this turn, but look what's coming after them. They're dead. So yeah, my other general on winged beast dies this turn as well. Now the sad thing that really got me upset was I probably only needed to do 1 or 2 wounds, one wound probably to that depth horror eternal to make it make a test, and hopefully run away, because I would have got it up to 9. It would take that much to get it. I rolled nothing. I think I rolled 3 ones to hit. It's just like, why? Just why? Sean kept saying, "Oh, that's all odds," and I'm like, "You're crazy! I should have done at least 1 hit, or maybe I did do 1 hit, then rolled a 1 to wound." It was something obscene, but it really did upset me. Just think of how bad that the dice over there were. So earlier in the game, my captain, my hero on the mount, had charged back into that unit of depth horrors and just whiffed. I mean, that's both of the captains in this turn did nothing, and just to have made that unit make a check could have won the game. So that was a huge shift of things. Turns out the Gigas did not kill the unit of pikemen. That's what the base is there. But the final score there, you can see he's got 3 for that depth horde, 1 for the Knucker, 3 again I think for the unit of Gigas, so that's 3, 6, and then 1 for the Coral Giant, to my 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's a 1-point win for the Trident realms. All right, that was a really good game played by Sean. My final thoughts, there's really 2 armies in this game that I do not like playing against. Most of the other armies I can handle, but Night Stalkers, because they negate all the shooting and range stuff, I don't like to play against. And I don't like to play against Trident Realm because they do the exact same thing to the melee phase. It's kind of rock, paper, scissors to me with some of these armies. Now, the good thing in this game was my flyers got rid of some of the helped get rid of some of the advantage. Where I made a mistake is I probably committed them way too soon. But then I was thinking in like normal terms, like normally I'll kill that in 1 turn, or normally I'll kill it in 2 turns. Just didn't count on taking 4 turns to kill 1 Knucker. That was just crazy over here on the right side. And even the in the picture that you see here, his Knucker hits my unit of fanatics, does like 1 wound, and he rolls like 10 and an 11. And just blows right through the line. And like I said, here, this would have been a turning point easily in the game where I could have charged in with the general and we beast in the flank and easily destroyed that Knucker, especially in conjunction with the fanatics. So just some things went wrong during this game as far as dice, but I think the reason why, and I'm not blaming dice specifically, I'm blaming the fact that when you start rolling to hit on 4s from 3s, that the chance of hitting and missing, it just is huge. I mean, when you're there, you could literally have a swing of 25% to 75%, in that bait, and it should average to 50%. But it's hard sometimes. I mean, and over the course of the game, I have no doubt those dice were 50%. But in key turns, if there's just with that rolling to hit for 4s, you just never know what could happen. The 3 Griffins worked again. I've just got to get more patient with them. There was no reason to get out there as early as I did. As a matter of fact, I should have, when he was moving over to the right-hand side to react to him, I should have just moved away and just left him stand there looking at the woods. But I didn't. But I think that part of that, though, I was trying to pull that Centurion out of the middle so that the middle Griffin could go in and do something. And he did help kill a Thule troop, and he helped kill some other stuff, but just was in it not in a good position. I should have just been constantly jiggling his position throughout the game to try to get no matter which way that Sean moved, he was going to get charged. So, like I said, I am learning to play this army. I've read Sam Nordberg's Tactica. I've talked to Sam Nordberg, for at length, like a couple of hours, but I still have not mastered this army list. And really, I was going to probably master it against a Trident Realm list because of it's just a hard army to play against anyway, and they don't play in a kind of traditional fashion, and so it's just, it's not like playing against Northern Alliance or Orcs or something that's more mainstream as far as how they play. These guys have a total different feel to them, just the way they go, and they have such a huge stat advantage, and humans are very average. Very average. So, you don't really expect anything out of them, honestly, unless you put yourself in a good position, which is what I tried to do, but unsuccessfully this game. But anyway, I like my army. I think maybe Sam played his at 2,300 points and had 5 regiments of pikemen, which is a good idea. I can't figure out how to do it at 2,150. So yeah, like I said, there's no way that I could do exactly what Sam does at 2,300 points. But what I'm thinking about doing, though, is jiggling some points around and replacing one of the mounted heroes for a Pegasus hero, and that reason why is because one thing it does, it takes my unit strength up to a potential of 28. So even if the rest of the army holds, I have 4 really fast guys that could run in and put some unit strength on the table for me if I need to. And the other thing is that the regular heroes, if I charge them out, they're not very good chaff because they're not mighty. And the Pegasus, and he's no better than they are, obviously, but at least he stops units from just running through them and charging into somebody behind them. So I'm thinking that I was actually thinking about doing 2, but then if I did 2, I'd have to get rid of all the Indomitable Will on my pikemen, and I choose not to do that. What I am going to do, though, is put a 5-point Indomitable Will on the single horseman, so the same thing won't happen to him that happened in this game, which was that he got wavered on a key turn, and I really needed him to do something. So for 5 points, it's absolutely worth it. But anyway, I really like my army. I'm going to take it to a tournament next weekend, I think, and see how it does there. It might get slaughtered every game, but like I say, I'm enjoying it. I enjoy playing it. I enjoy the style. It's just a matter of just learning it and just getting some reps in with it, because this is only like my second game. I don't remember. May just be, yeah, I think it's just my second or second game, maybe even. So anyway, we'll have to see how it does in the future. I'm encouraged by it. It's all painted. I am going to paint a Pegasus. I actually have the Pegasus painted, but I changed wings on it, so I'm going to have to work on fixing the wings up on it so that it matches the rest of my army. But anyway, thanks for watching the battle report. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. I know I did. I always learn. I know I say I'm learning from my own battle reports, but I do. Some things that I could have done better. Some deployment things that might have worked better, more in depth perhaps in places, or even if I'm trying to protect my fanatics from doing stuff, maybe even just sticking them behind the pikemen for a turn or two until they get into a place. But I'll have to play with it a little bit more. The single heroes like that are really hard to stop, and that's what's going to be the bane. And that was one of the ideas of taking the Pegasus, is that I could just put the Pegasus either behind or in front of the fanatics, and then whoever, then I could countercharge before, and that'll let my whole line move forward, so I'm not kind of pinned in place by something that could potentially get through it like I was in this game. So new plan, new way of doing it. We'll just have to see how it goes.